Hi, it's Joyce with MommyTalkShow.com. We are here at the CDC in Chamblee, Georgia, talking about sunscreen protection and kids. Joining me is Dr. Gary Guy. He is a skin cancer researcher here, and I have a few questions about the difference between sunscreen and sunblock and what should parents look for.
So the FDA no longer allows manufacturers to label their product as sunblock. No product can 100% effectively block UV rays from the sun. So when you hear the word sunblock, it's typically used generically to refer to sunscreen. However, saying that there are two different types of sunscreen. There's one that provides chemical protection, and the second that provides physical protection. Chemical protection is when chemicals are used to absorb the UV rays from the sun to protect your skin, whereas physical protection, the UV is reflected off of the physical barriers in the sunscreen to protect your skin. In terms of what you should be looking for when you purchase sunscreen, there's really the two most important things to keep in mind are the SPF, or the sun protection factor level, and you want an SPF of at least 15. And the second thing you want to look for is a sunscreen that provides broad spectrum protection, and that is that it protects you from both the UVA and UVB rays.
Well, as an African American family, we still use sunblock when our son goes out, when he's swimming, when he's been at camp. This is a sunscreen. This is something by Banana Boat. I purchased it with my own money, was not compensated in any way. I purchased it because for me it had 50 SPF, and it said that it was water resistant. So if we were going to be going out and swimming, being in the pool and splash pads, I thought that those were good factors. So not judging this one specifically, but are those good things to look for, SPF, water resistant, when you're looking for sunscreen for your children?
Yeah, so you mentioned a few things I would like to touch on. You mentioned as an African American family, this is the sunscreen that you use and what you look for. It's important. I think there's a misconception that although people with lighter complexion, lighter skin are more at risk for skin cancer, those with darker skin are also at risk. And really the same advice and the same criteria is pertinent to those individuals as well, regardless of skin tone. It's important to protect yourself from the skin.
From the sun.
Sorry. In terms of the SPF level, the FDA recently stopped allowing manufacturers to label SPF using SPF over 50. Essentially, they found that an SPF above 50 was really no more effective than a 50, and didn't want to give consumers a false sense of security that, hey, I put on my SPF 100 and I can go out in the sun all day and I'm fine. Lastly, you mentioned about waterproof and water resistance. Sunscreens can no longer be labeled waterproof. It's not possible for sunscreens to be waterproof and never lose their effectiveness when in the water. However, sunscreens that meet certain criteria can be labeled water resistant, like the one you mentioned. And with that, there's typically a time on the label where it says how often to reapply. Usually either 40 or 80 minutes.
Right, and this one says 80 minutes.
Right. So when going in the water or sweating, you want to make sure that you would apply that every 80 minutes. And then even without going in the water or sweating, you want to make sure you reapply at least every 2 hours.
And then finally, in 2011, Consumer Reports reported that the FDA recommended no longer using sunscreen sprays on children, that parents should use a lotion that sunscreen lotion that they trust. So why shouldn't we use spray on children? And in a pinch, let's say I squeeze the last bit of lotion out of here, it's 85 minutes later, and I need to reapply it for my son. Is it okay to spray, use the spray that I have for myself on him?
Yeah, so in a pinch, it'd be better for you to put the spray on your hand and rub it onto your son. It's definitely better than not using any sun protection at all. There's some concern that the chemicals in the spray, when inhaled, could be dangerous, especially when inhaled in the nose and mouth area.
So dangerous for children, but not dangerous for adults? Or dangerous, period?
Really dangerous in general, and this is something that the FDA is continuing to look at. One thing I'd like to mention, in addition to sunscreen, sunscreen is most effectively used in conjunction with other sun protection measures. For example, sun protective clothing, including hats and sunglasses, as well as seeking shade, especially during the midday hours when the sun's rays are the most intense. it's really this layered approach to sun protection that's most effective at protecting your skin.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gary Guy here at the CDC for answering our questions here on Mommy Talk Show.